you seeing 146 now? Okay.
Yeah, over 100.
All right, let's try this again. And bang, we are live. Sorry about that, folks.
Bang. Sorry.
I'm
We had the same flash crash that Bitcoin had, I guess. Too many people in at one time. But that was not the problem Saturday night into Sunday morning. I think, well, first of all, welcome, folks. He's CJ, he's Monty, I'm John. We're here to bring you the Daily Crypto Byte. We're sorry it's a little late. Like I say, technical difficulties, but nonetheless, at least we're out there now. And wow, what a weekend for trading. I don't usually trade much on the weekends, guys. But this one I did. I was able to buy some Bitcoin on that nice fat dip. Hats off to whoever caused that thing to rock down from 59 to 51,000 like that. Don't know, but I know these two guys, I know Monty and CJ were watching it and up at that time. So let's let maybe CJ, Monty, tell us a little bit about some of the liquidations that were going on, because that's what it was all about, folks. It was all about over-levered newbies in the space.
Yeah, it must have been a really good weekend for Binance and many other of the exchanges, because the volume was absolutely off the charts. Over 1 million traders were liquidated in under 24 hours. Over $12 billion liquidated, 10 billion of that coming from Binance. The largest single order liquidated was around $68 million. So crazy amount of liquidations there. And it just starts where, you have liquidation prices stacked very close together in the order book. And if you have one order that comes in that hits that level, it's just like boom, 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 boom. And it's a cascading wrecking machine. I saw that somebody coined that term on Twitter. I like that.
Coined that term. No pun intended. By the way, guys, for those of you who started on my side of the world and now have migrated to these guys' side of the world, in other words, equities to crypto, same thing goes on. And I'll break it down for you quickly this way. So you can fully pay for GameStop, for instance, and you own the stock. The broker can't even lend that stock unless you want them to. For your fully paid for shares, the broker has to basically clear it with you to lend those shares to somebody else. Now that's fully paid for. We all know that securities, equities in the United States, like Apple, like GameStop, you can get 2-to-1 leverage. And that's as far as it goes. 2-to-1 leverage is what FINRA and the SEC, the two authorities that watch over this stuff, that's as far as they'll let any broker go. Now, you can get into portfolio margining, but let's not talk about that right now. Let's talk about normal trading. So if you're a man or woman with $10,000 in your account, you can buy $10,000 worth of stock. Turns out you can also buy $20,000 worth of stock if your broker gives you that 2-to-1 margin, and virtually every broker would. So now when you have somebody else's money at risk with yours, you don't get to decide when you're going to cut your losses. If that particular trade, GameStop, Apple, whatever, starts going against you, that broker's on the line for 50% of that trade. They can decide to liquidate you. It's in your agreement with that broker. You might not have read that small print, but they could liquidate that position because they could basically demand you either come up with more money right now or I'm liquidating you. And they do it without remorse and without mercy. And then you get to something like cryptocurrencies, which the SEC doesn't govern the trading of that, nor does the CFTC. Now, for the things that are listed, like options and futures on Bitcoin at the CME, yes, they do have something to say about it. But if you're trading on Deribit or you're trading on Binance, like CJ just said, they will give you leverage that you've only seen in FX, foreign currency, foreign exchange markets, which used to be up to 200 to 1 around the world. And now most of the exchanges have cut back. There are still some offering that, but CJ and Monty, tell the listeners how much leverage you can get in the crypto markets if you choose to do that.
I've seen it vary across different exchanges, but in the high end, I think it ranges from 100x to even 150x.
So not 10x, not 20x. So imagine that same $10,000. And instead of us talking about Apple, we're talking about Bitcoin. Well, if they're giving you 100x, that's 100 times 10,000, folks. So you could be trading with $1 million worth of Bitcoin with that 10,000 in your account. Now, how fast do you think that broker is going to be quick to liquidate you if you were using that kind of leverage? And the answer is instantaneously. If it gets to a certain level, they will, without remorse, just hit that sell button and get you out, because you're going through their money at that point. You've got 10,000 up and you're trading $990,000 worth of Binance's money, worth of Deribit's money, or anybody else. So for that reason, when they get to a certain level, and that's why technicals are so important, a lot of people will say, I want to be buying just below that level, because if we hit it, it's going to cause that waterfall of selling to drive things down. And that's what CJ was tweeting yesterday, and I bet you were too, Monty.
Yeah, John. And that relationship between leverage and liquidation is something that the whales are very aware of and have been known to take advantage of in the past. We talked a lot about how Bitcoin broke out of that ascending triangle that we've been highlighting for a while. It was above 60K. And a lot of traders, I'm sure a lot of them new to the space, saw this as an opportunity to jump into levered long positions, because they didn't really see the opportunity or the possibility of Bitcoin dropping back below 60K or even 57K, where their positions would get liquidated. So these traders jumped into Bitcoin long with 5 to 10 times leverage, meaning that if Bitcoin moves up to 65K, they're doing great. But that means they didn't give themselves a whole lot of room to the downside. So the whales saw this as an opportunity to dump the market, get it below 57K. And as soon as that happened, those positions get liquidated, and that leads to that massive sell-off that we saw last night. So, some people are saying the whales are greedy. Other people are saying that the levered longs are irresponsible. But in my opinion, it's a little bit of both. And, this is just a natural process of the crypto market.
Yeah. Let's talk about those whales.
Yeah, CJ.
Well, maybe it might have just been one, judging by the data. But something that we had last week was a blackout in China, where about 50% of the hash power on the Bitcoin network was located. So virtually overnight, when this power outage occurred, that network hash power was instantly lost. And what I think a particular whale did was that they saw this as an opportunity to flush out all of those levered longs, because it was an excuse of bad news that they could use to potentially scare the market. Because we've seen rapid drops in price when we've had rapid drops in hash power before. So if you look at this one graph that Monty has in the background from Glassnode, you can see that just 3 hours after, actually it was 6 hours, 6 hours after the blackout, one trader deposited 6,000 Bitcoins into Binance. And so they likely had the firepower at that point to liquidate all of those levered longs and then scoop up Bitcoin at a price of 51K possibly. Because like John was mentioning with those technicals, all of those levels were stacked up around 59K. And so the interesting thing that we can see just a little bit afterwards is that we had an outflow from Binance of 20,000 Bitcoins back into cold storage for the long haul. So maybe we don't know for sure if it was one or just a few entities, but it looks like they more than doubled their stack off of this trade, a very strategic move. And people who say whales are greedy, who is not greedy in this market? That was a strategic play that likely worked out for them. But
and it's no different really, CJ, than when Roaring Kitty gets in there and decides, you know what, we know that this short in the case of Melvin Capital, this short is really pushing that position hard in GameStop. And if I get in here and start buying, he exercised what, 50,000 shares worth, I think, in GameStop at $12 with the stock, roughly give or take $150 a share. But he bought it when, he bought those calls a while ago, held them all the way through. It's not traditional, but it's not unique to see somebody feasting on, either fear or feasting on somebody who's over levered. You saw it with Carl Icahn going after Ackman when Ackman put on that Herbalife trade, and Carl just went for him and said, "You want a friend? Buy a dog," which is a classic Wall Street statement. He wasn't the first guy to come up with that. I've heard it time and time again. But nonetheless, Carl was a very funny guy, and he came on live on CNBC and was saying exactly that, to Ackman. He said, "I'm buying it here. You're nuts." And he said, "Now I know you're short, so I can put the leverage to you." And poor Ackman, lost billions on that trade. Obviously, with the Bitcoin falling from 59,000 to 51,000 in 1 hour, CJ, that really put the whip to all those shorts. I mean, all the longs that were levered long. If you were like most of us and just owning Bitcoin and fully paid for Bitcoin, didn't affect me at all. I bought on that dip, but not that I didn't get anywhere near 51, but I bought below 55. And that was a gift, I thought, because those whale maps have shown us that there's an awful lot of Bitcoin right around that 55,000 level. So if, somebody actually caused that waterfall to occur, like CJ says, that was like a gift for the rest of us.
Yeah, and Monty, let's talk about where do we go from here?
Yeah.
There's another chart from Glassnode. One of my favorites. This came out from Jan and Jan Twitter accounts. They're the co-founders of Glassnode. Great newsletter each week. I definitely recommend to subscribe to that. But in that graph, you can see the SOPR. It's a lot of short-term traders kind of coming in. And when we get kind of a reset period, where we have a ton of levered longs and then they all get liquidated down to a certain level, it's almost like a reset for the entire market so that real, individuals like John who are buying the dip can lead to a much more authentic rally that isn't just, with a lot of leveraged money. So I do think that this may very well be the bottom due to, that kind of short flash crash. We'll see though.
So CJ, from this chart, are you thinking that, John isn't alone, that other traders were willing to buy the dip last night? Is that what we're seeing?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And another thing that's very interesting is that after those 20,000 Bitcoins left Binance and went back into cold storage, we now have more Bitcoins locked away in cold storage than we did previously. So that's very bullish. You remember the Rick Astley chart, the one about the that's the one that keeps getting lower. I mean, it's at an all-time high with the amount of Bitcoins locked in cold storage. That leads to a shortage of Bitcoins on spot exchanges, which can lead to a lot of volatility. I still think we're going to see a lot more of these $10,000 daily candles throughout the rest of the bull market.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
I agree with you, CJ. And we talked a lot about Bitcoin. What about the alt?
It just goes to show, though, Monty, sorry, about that leverage. I'll leave it with that you've just got to be aware, folks, that if you use too much leverage, leverage is a great thing when you're winning, and it's a horrible thing when you're losing because you don't decide to sell. You could have, 3 to 1, 5 to 1, 10 to 1, and say, I'm being conservative with my leverage. Still, Binance will liquidate you. Deribit will liquidate you. Any of those exchanges will liquidate you if you start cutting into their capital. Go ahead. Sorry, Monty.
Yeah, John, those exchanges have no problem liquidating you. They will sleep very well at night, even after wrecking you. But, we've talked a lot about Bitcoin now, and I think we should get into the alts because, I think we're going to see a lot of exciting price action. Bitcoin wasn't alone in a lot of the sell-offs this weekend. We saw some alts dip as well. So what do you guys say? You ready to get to our doges of the day?
Indeed. By the way, one more question to both of you gentlemen. What is it with Doge and 420? This used to be a cannabis play, 420. And now instead, many of the Bitcoiners, in particular, the shit coiners, are going for 420, and they're just pushing this with, in particular, Doge, saying Doge to 69 for 420. And it's moving.
I mean, Doge, it's the meme value. That's what Doge has. The meme is the message here with Doge. You don't necessarily need any utility besides the meme value. And, I've seen a lot of people on Twitter, a lot of people on Reddit. 420 is a great meme day, and a great meme price for Doge is 69 cents. So that seems to be the target. I think a lot of retail traders are going to try and drive it there, but no, it's what a time. What a time to be investing in crypto. Just never ceases to amaze me what these guys are out there doing. But Doge of the day, let's get to it. CJ, you have an interesting one that was a bit of a throwback, a name I hadn't heard in quite a while. You want to talk about that?
This is blowing my mind, because this is a coin that was 51% attacked multiple times during the bear market because it had a very low amount of hash power, and that is Vertcoin. But I think this is another instance of whales, or maybe just one, coming into a very low cap coin that's been rather obsolete from the market cap board for quite a while. It had a run up to $7 or $8 back in 2016 and 2017, but I mean, it went all the way down below 15 cents during the course of the bear market. I never thought this thing would come back, but it is. And the relative trading volume, comparatively throughout the last week is over 1,000%. Tons of volume, unusual stuff coming in here. Could this run continue? I don't know. It might be an interesting speculative play, very similar to Doge in the sense that it could drop out from under you at any moment. But it's very interesting to see a lot of the 2017 altcoins like Bitcoin Cash, Ethereum Classic, possibly Verge and Doge. We're seeing them pump. And I think that's a very good indication of a lot of retail capital going back into the market. I think they're just buying what looked familiar in 2017. I mean, it's that simple. But that is a true Doge. I mean, no fundamentals whatsoever.
Monty, I'm going to go with Litecoin LTC. The reason here is, of course, as always, volume. Last week, it was doing like $5 billion a day. We hit, I think, a high of about 15 during that drop Saturday night into Sunday morning. And it traded down to right around, let's see, what was the low? Looks like right around 251 for LTC, Litecoin. Now it's 262. I think it has a shot at pushing back over, where is this? Would I be surprised to see it back over 300 again? No. It flushed and people were using leverage for this too. So just look at the ones that had leverage, because it wasn't just Bitcoin. They might not offer 100 to 1 for every other crypto, but a lot of these that are out there trading, people were over levered, and that looked like a flush. So I like buying it at, this 262 level.
Yeah, very nice, Jon. I like the reasoning behind that trade. I'm going to mix it up a little bit. I'm going with Luna. Full disclosure, I do hold this asset, but I really liked the moves it's made over the last 24 hours. One thing that AJ Monty, emphasized the importance of is kind of getting back to the simple things. Even though it's crypto, you can still look at the simple technicals and extrapolate a lot from them. So I'm looking at the 20 period moving average. Price moved back above that. It also has solid support at 14.49. And the last thing I'm looking for is a break above that last critical resistance at 15.1. If that happens, I have the conviction to enter a long trade. And, beyond that, I believe in the fundamentals. I believe in the long-term value proposition of this one. There is good utility for a basket of stable coins. And I think, this is one that may not get a huge pop following kind of that retail money immediately moving in, but I think this is going to be a coin that sees very sustained, very bullish growth throughout the duration of this market cycle. And with the sell-off we saw last night, I think it presents a pretty unique and profitable buying opportunity. So Luna is my Doge of the day.
Nice.
Also,
keep in mind, folks, that we are sponsored by Voyager. VGX is their coin. Voyager is a crypto broker that's regulated. It is out of Canada, trades over the counter in the United States, as well as, of course, on the Canadian Venture Exchange. And they give you commission-free trading, pay you interest on your deposited crypto. Just check them out, and please let them know. If you type in Rebel25, when you open an account there, you will get $25 in Bitcoin, which is today more than $25 worth of Bitcoin on Friday. So just keep it in mind. Thank you.
Yeah, got to give Voyager a lot of credit too, with all of the volume and volatility this weekend during Saturday around midnight Central Time. The app was working totally well. No problems whatsoever. It's not the case always with a lot of exchanges when you get days where there's tons of liquidations like that. So a great day because of that.
Yeah.
And you can join these guys in the crypto room, folks. Last little note here, $1 up for your first month to join Matt and CJ and their team in the Market Rebellion crypto room. You just type in Market Rebellion /try crypto. That's marketrebellion.com /try crypto to check it out. $1 for your first month.
And I just want to give a quick shout out to our members because, you guys are awesome. CJ and I were hanging out in there a lot this weekend, and I was just overwhelmed by the, positivity in the room, even amidst like that flash crash. People are just so excited to be buying the dip. So we're really lucky to have such an awesome, positive community. And, we'd love for more people to join. So like Jon said, check it out at marketrebellion.com /try crypto. But with that, we will leave you guys for the day, and we will see you tomorrow. So thank you all so much for watching. Have a good one.